We are about to see a version of A.J. Brown that we have never seen before. He's quickly gone from the simplest scheme to the most complex in the entire NFL, the same one that Tom Brady himself built for over 2 decades, and recently Brown had a quote that really caught my attention. This offense is very complex, a lot more thinking, you gotta adjust the routes based on the defense. With the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown struggling to connect this past season, Brown was shipped off to New England, where he's begun learning the Josh McDaniels Tom Brady offense, which is infinitely more complex. A.J. Brown is trying to learn what essentially is an entirely new position in an offense he's never been in before. When designing your scheme, there are 2 schools of thought. You can use pure progression, where each receiver locks in their route no matter what, no in-route adjustments, and the quarterback reads 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and knows exactly where each receiver will be no matter what. This style relies more on the quarterback's timing, where he knows the exact spot each receiver will be, so if his first read isn't open, that should open his second read, if not his second, his third, etc., etc. With the Patriots, well, they use a route adjustment style scheme, which is a completely different style of offense. Many of the routes in this McDaniels offense are not locked, meaning they adjust based off the coverage in the down, which puts a whole new set of demands on the quarterback. Here we can see when the receiver sees different types of coverage, he's going to run towards open space instead of running a route in a pure progression scheme, where you'd have to stick to that route no matter what. For example, take a look at this one route explanation pulled straight from McDaniels' actual 2011 playbook. This is his pivot route, which relies on the receiver to adjust to multiple different types of coverage. It says pre-snap if the defender is playing off coverage to run a curl at 14 yards. You stem up the field as if you're running a go, then break down and come back to the ball since the corner is chasing over the top. Versus press coverage, we're running a wiggle route, where we almost fake a dig inside, then go back out to shake the tight man coverage. And then versus roll coverage, when the cornerback starts deep, so it looks like we're gonna run a curl based off the pre-snap look. If the defense rolls coverage to you by bringing the cornerback down to bump you and play zone, then instead of 1 high safety, they're playing 2 high safeties. Now we're converting the route into a bow route, which is essentially a soft corner route to attack this area in between the corner and safety. This is just one route in one play. It can work really well if your quarterbacks and receivers are on the same page, but there can be way more miscommunication because if not done right, if the QB and receivers are reading coverage differently, or if the QB is staring down his receiver waiting to see what he'll do because he maybe doesn't trust him to be where he thinks he'll be. This is what it looks like when this scheme doesn't work, and this was best exemplified by the Seahawks safety Julian Love mic'd up during the Super Bowl talking about Drake Maye.
Classic young quarterback. As soon as that back foot hits, he's going to where he wants, but he's pausing for a second to confirm that he's open. He's not blindly doing like Stafford. There's like a little hitch there. Okay. You can jump that.
Okay. Maye is incredibly good, but to me here, what Love is trying to say is more due to inexperience in the scheme, in this style of offense, rather than his lack of vision. So this upcoming year, I believe that Maye will take the next step and improve. This offense is optimal if your quarterback and receivers can pull it off, because there is open space to exploit in every coverage. Check out the top where Kyle Williams has a thunder route. There's a better explanation about it in this 2014 John Harbaugh playbook I pulled here, where Williams doesn't just have a locked hitch route like the Eagles would with A.J. Brown. Maye and Williams both see the press coverage, know a hitch versus tight press coverage would go nowhere since the cornerback is right in your hip pocket. We can see that plenty in the Eagles film here this past year, where there are opportunities for AJB. He's still one of the best receivers in our game, but since the Eagles offense under Kevin Petula was more simple and more rigid with his pure progression scheme, the Eagles lost opportunities on offense. Even when they tried to put little wrinkles in, where here we can see Brown getting press coverage, here he is running the fade, and while most quarterbacks would see A.J. Brown even, so he's leaving, meaning throw it deep, Hurts reads it differently and throws it back, shoulder. These kinds of missed opportunities plagued the Eagles all season, and as purely a passer, they didn't trust Hurts to do anything more than play a simplistic style of offense. Philly had the same issue when receivers bumped inside, whereas the Pats allow the receivers to convert their routes to stretch out the defense as much as possible to give Drake more room to throw. Here is a variation of their toga concept, where the Chargers drop into a really challenging coverage. You can see here the route conversions change for MOFC or MOFO, which are all based off the safeties. The offense is basing their movement off of the defense's coverage decisions. In one high safety coverages, like cover 1 and cover 3, that means the middle of the field, the dead middle, is closed if you try to run a receiver right through it. Conversely, if you have two deep safeties, you can play cover 2 or cover 4, where the middle of the field is now open, so receivers will try to split the two safeties up the middle. Watch as the Chargers try to fool the Patriots by starting with 3 deep, so Hunter Henry would attack the seam to stay away from the post safety. But when he realizes it's 2 deep safeties, he starts to cut in over the middle of the field open, which stretches out the safety. Kayshon Boutte sees the defender over the top, this is now 2 deep, and throttles down a bit to stay away from the defensive coverage. The Patriots just have so many different ways to have the receivers get open with a single play, that if and when Drake Maye and AJ Brown get on the same page, they are gonna make straight lemonade. One area that frustrated Eagles fans was how little AJB was used on horizontal breaking routes. If we go back to when Mike Vrabel was coaching Brown in Tennessee, the man was constantly ripping off explosive plays on horizontal routes over the middle. I'm sure Josh McDaniels already has a package just for AJ. Gronk had a ton of his career yardage on a concept just like this, and we'll be sure to see plenty of inbreakers this upcoming season. One of the ways I believe it'll manifest is with the Pats' diverse dagger package. It's one of their favorite concepts, where they run it in a wide variety of ways. Here's the more traditional version, where you have a receiver running straight up the seam to catch the safety if he's in one high and carry him so the dig can open up underneath. Or if it's 2 high safeties, which it is, digs can split the 2 of them and drag them both away, and even also come open. And after this hit, I'm sure he can't recite his Cardi ABCs. What gets me most excited though is how their dagger package has evolved and created 2 horizontal routes instead of just 1. Nowadays, quarterbacks have gotten so good that the older way to run dagger was to have this slot receiver go straight towards him to hold him so he doesn't dive down in the dig. But post safeties have learned quarterbacks can now burn them over the top, so now they stay back. The Pats understand this, so they run cross-country dagger, which has more of a deep crossing route to pull coverage horizontal instead of vertical to open up room for the dig coming in behind him. I would love to see Brown catch some of these deep digs over the middle, giving him more chances to extend after the catch, because with all these hitch routes he was always running, where you're just coming straight back to the ball, or a fade over your head, it's hard to create a lot of yak. Then to build out this dagger package even more, McDaniels uses fake dagger, which creates a vertical option outside after you've showed the defense a couple of different dig dagger variations. Brown and the Eagles also had plenty of over the middle struggles. I did a whole video on how Hurts won't and can't throw in this area, and there were plenty of times where he tried to force throws in there or wouldn't throw it at all. It was just an ugly mess, and I think the Eagles offense will struggle again in 2026. But that's neither here nor there. While AJ Brown came out and said the Pats offense is much more complex, it's still early. I think he is in for a massive season. Hopefully McDaniels doesn't just use him as the X receiver in this offense. That means he's on the line of scrimmage at all times, so he can't motion, he'd see more press coverage, and if he's in one position the entire game, it'd be easier to game plan out of him doing a ton of damage. Hopefully they move him around more. I think there's no way they're dumb enough not to. And since they had Randy Moss playing in the slot even all the way back in 2007, I know it's something McDaniels is already comfortable with. The AJ Brown trade is a huge get for the Patriots, and anybody who's doubting him, believing he was the problem in Philadelphia, watch what the Pats will do this year and watch how the Eagles offense will struggle. We've seen great young quarterbacks in the past get a star receiver and take their game to the next level, and that's exactly what the Patriots have done with Drake Maye and AJB. He was stuck in an offensive scheme that started to make it so he couldn't unleash his maximum potential, and now that he's in a more complex scheme that allows him to attack open space, with Drake Maye getting him the ball, this is going to be a dynamic duo. Brown has always exhibited his strong physical abilities, now he gets to show off his mentals as well. So with him locked in as wide receiver 1, the Pats already have plenty of other weapons, plenty surrounding Maye. They are not just trying to get back to the Super Bowl, they're ready to win it all.